Hey everyone, Teo here. Today I'm reviewing the Onyx Boox Note Air4C. This is a 10.3-inch color e-ink tablet running on Android 13. It comes with 6 gigs of RAM and 64 gigs of storage. CPU-Z lists the processor as Qualcomm Snapdragon 750G, and DiffCheck Pro lists the processor as Qualcomm Snapdragon 690, so I'm actually not sure which is the actual processor. Anyway, both processors have 8 cores. First of all, disclaimer, this is a review unit provided by the company, and in this video I'll just present to you my findings so that you can decide whether this is worth the money. The price of this tablet including the magnetic case is US $499. This does not include the pen, and it seems like free shipping is included, but that may or may not be true depending on your location. Now if you want to add the pen, that's the premium stylus bundle, and the price will go up to $547 US. Alright, let's start with the bottom line. So this is actually a minor update to the previous model, the Note Air 3C released last year. If you take a look at the comparison table on their website, you will see the specifications are kind of similar. Both are using Kaleido 3-color screen, and the PPI for black and white is 300 and for color is 150. Both are using the Boox Super Refresh technology. You know what, let's just talk about the differences. So now there is 6 gigs of RAM, which is an increase from 4 gigs. It's now running on Android 13. The previous model was using Android 12, and the weight is 10 grams lighter at 420 grams. And you can still buy the previous model at $499, but obviously for the same price you should get the current model, which is also $499. User experience for this new model is very similar to the previous model, which is to say that if you're looking for long-term reviews for the Note Air 4C, you can actually just check out the reviews for Note Air 3C. Alright, so the design of this tablet looks beautiful. It's well made and the build quality is solid with the metal back. There is Google Play Store, so you can install whatever apps you want, and this is Amazon Kindle. So this is how color e-ink looks on this tablet, and it actually looks pretty good. Obviously the colors will not be as vibrant compared to LCD or OLED displays. Now the limitation with e-ink is latency, ghosting, vibrancy and contrast. I'm not sure if you can see clearly, but there is slight ghosting. With e-ink, every page has to be redrawn, so ghosting is actually image retention from the previous page. And here you can see the comic panel gutter. Using the e-ink settings, you can adjust the page refresh time, visual quality, contrast, color vibrancy, and other settings which I will talk more about later. So currently I'm using the balance mode, which is a good balance between the visual quality, the colors, responsiveness and ghosting. And this is Libby, which allows me to borrow books from my local library. Text looks really good, and this is the contrast you can get from the gray e-ink surface. There are some complaints regarding how dark the e-ink canvas is. So if you are reading in a room with low lighting, you definitely need to increase the front light. And you can also adjust the color temperature for the light. The lighting looks quite even to me. I don't see any wavy patterns at the edges. If you want to get the pen, that is a good choice because note-taking works great. And this is able to capture my handwriting style quite accurately. This display is laminated, so there is almost no gap between the pen tip and the line beneath. And the responsiveness or latency is really good. And this textured pen tip Feels really wonderful when writing on this matte textured surface. Battery life is difficult for me to measure because this is an e-ink tablet. I would say maybe you can get around 8 to 10 hours of battery life if you are just reading. If you are using the internet, or if you are downloading stuff, doing work, or if you use the display at higher brightness, then all that will of course affect battery life. Let's talk about the downsides or limitations very quickly. Auto rotate is way too sensitive. When you tilt the tablet slightly, it's going to rotate too easily. So sometimes I just want to move my tablet around and it will just rotate. So this is quite annoying. So I always have auto rotate disabled. I wish the colors could be more vibrant, but I guess this is probably the limit of e-ink right now. The same limit from last year. There are no physical buttons for turning pages or adjusting settings, but that's really minor because you can just use finger gestures. There is no side button for the pen, no eraser for the pen. So all those downsides and limitations are quite minor, but one significant one is, for some reason, the OS is not able to keep the active apps in memory. So I have actually opened many apps earlier and now you can see it's down to 3. And if I open, let's say, Microsoft Edge and go back to the task or app switcher, you can see one of the apps earlier has closed. So even though there is more RAM now, you can't actually store many apps in memory. And hopefully this is something that can be solved with a firmware upgrade. So this tablet has its pros and cons, just like all other tablets, and my overall experience with this is quite positive. So if you are looking for an e-ink tablet for reading, this is definitely one you can consider. And now on to the full review. Let's take a look at the items included with the purchase. This is how the packaging box looks. The magnetic case is inside a separate box and I have already taken this out. So let's unbox this. The tablet was originally wrapped in plastic, and let me just take everything out first. So these are the items in my box, and these items may vary depending on which bundle you purchase. So if you do not buy the pen, then you may not get the replacement pen tips, the pen and the pen cover. So this is the warranty card, quick start guide, SIM ejection tool, and inside this small box you will find the replacement pen tips for the pen, and there are 5 pen tips and this nib remover. This is a USB-A to USB-C charging cable. No power adapter or charger is included. Let's look at the case. First thing I want to say is, if you try to lift the tablet up like that, the pen is going to go in because the flat side of this pen actually attaches to the curved side of the tablet. So the pen will go in when you try to lift it up like this. So to lift up the tablet with the pen, lift it up from where there is no pen. Yeah, just a minor issue. This looks like PU leather to me, and this is a well-made case, and this case does look pretty good. There are many folds, as you can see, because this case can be folded in many ways. I like this flap because this will prevent the pen from dislodging. Now this case will protect the top, bottom, and this side. The top of the tablet and the bottom and part of the side of the tablet are exposed. The trimming is done quite well, and this fits the tablet perfectly, so I'm glad the case is included. I don't have the weight for this case, but this does not make the tablet that much heavier, and you can see this is still quite slim. Let's see how you can fold and deploy this case. So this flap can actually attach to the back with magnets. Let me just remove the pen. To deploy the tablet horizontally, you can use the typical triangle fold like this, or if you want to deploy the tablet vertically, you can push this back like this, push this inwards, and now you have a fold like this, and this will let you put your tablet vertically on the table. This is the angle of deployment for when the tablet is vertical, and this is actually quite stable. And this is the triangle fold for when the tablet is horizontal in landscape orientation. Now for writing, you can put the tablet flat on the table, or if you want to, you can have the tablet inclined at this angle. The interior is some felt-like surface with some resistance, which is nice. The magnets are quite strong. Now if you want to use the tablet alone, you can just remove the tablet, and of course there is the auto wick and sleep feature. This stylus is called the Boox Pen Plus, and it comes with a rubber cap with a hard tip. So you can post it or you can put it in front. Let me just put it behind here. This pen uses Wacom EMR technology, so this supports palm rejection, tilt sensitivity, and pressure sensitivity. The flat side of the pen can attach to the side of the tablet, not in the center here, because this is the wrong location. It's here where the magnets are stronger. This pen is not powered by battery, so no charging is required. There is no side button and no eraser at the back. The pen tip has minimal to no movement, and this is a nice pen tip because it's textured. When writing on the tablet, you can actually hear the sound it makes. I'm not sure how long these pen tips will last, but if you have to buy pen tip replacements, they are $20 for 5 pieces. Let's look at the design of this tablet. This is a beautiful looking tablet. It's quite slim. The weight is 420 grams, so this is not too heavy for a 10.3 inch tablet, and I can definitely hold this in one hand comfortably for long periods of time without the case attached. The corners for the body are rounded slightly, and you can see the corners for the display are also rounded. This display may look like it's laminated, but there is actually a tiny little gap between the surface and the actual display. So there's this little bit of cast shadow over there, but nothing at the bottom. But if I turn the tablet this way, now I can see some cast shadow here because the light is casting the shadow. When writing, the gap between the line and the pen tip is not going to be that visible. And you can see a small gap now only because of my camera angle. The Boox logo used to be up here. And on the back, this is matte textured metal, so the build quality is really solid. Now by the side here, that's the USB-C charging port. This only has USB 2 transfer speeds, and that's the micro SD card slot. The strange thing about having the USB-C port here instead of here is this tablet cannot be charged when the cover is closed. There are 2 speakers and they are loud enough. The audio quality is okay, but they sound slightly hollow, but it's not too bad. And here at the top there is a power button with a fingerprint scanner which works fast and effectively. Let's talk a bit more about this display. So this is a 10.3 inch Kaleido 3 color e-ink display, and the black and white resolution is 1860 by 2480. That's 300 ppi, and the color resolution is half of that. Text looks great on this e-ink canvas. The e-ink canvas looks kind of gray, but when you're reading in a bright environment, the contrast will still look great, and this is the diffuse reflection on the matte textured surface. I would say this is semi-gloss. So as long as there is no strong light source pointing to the display, you're going to get fantastic visual quality. And now let's look at the visual quality of color e-ink versus LCD. So this is a comic page, And this 10.3 inch size is actually great for reading comics. For comic pages and PDFs, you cannot increase the text size. So when you have a larger display, the text will also be larger and easier to read. With e-ink displays, you have to manage your expectations when it comes to color vibrancy. So when we take a look at the blue, you can clearly see the blue here is desaturated. Actually, all the colors here are desaturated. So we have blue, which is more vibrant on the LCD. We have this green, which is also more vibrant. The skin color looks alright. The red is noticeably more muted or less saturated here on the e-ink. Anyway, the e-ink still looks pretty good, especially when you're reading in a bright environment. The legibility under direct sunlight is excellent. Now there is some ghosting, but as mentioned earlier, you can actually remove the ghosting depending on which e-ink settings you use. Okay, here we have yellow, and yellow here is less saturated. Notice as I turn the page, the animation here is smoother, yes, but the animation on the e-ink is actually not too bad. So again, we see the yellow is more vibrant here, and the red, you can see it's noticeably more saturated, more vibrant here on the color display. So this is the limitation with e-ink right now. Overall experience when it comes to reading comics on this e-ink display to me is very enjoyable. When reading in a dark environment, the gray e-ink canvas is not going to give you good contrast with the text. So you definitely need to increase the brightness for the front light, and to help you do so, you can use the virtual sliders. There are two sliders, one on the left and one on the right, and they are customizable with pre-programmed shortcuts. So this right slider allows me to adjust brightness, and this is the maximum brightness. You can set the other slider to adjust color temperature, or you can adjust the color temperature and brightness using the slide down menu here. So now with the front light on, you can see the contrast looks much better, and again the text looks really good. The front light looks quite even to me. I do not see any noticeable wavy light pattern at the edges of the display. Let me show you how to customize the shortcuts for the two virtual sliders. So go to Settings, System Navigation, Side Gestures, and here you can customize the left slider and the right slider. So I'm going to set left slider to adjust color temperature. These are the different pre-programmed shortcuts you can use. So let's go with this. So now if I slide from the side, you can see the color temperature change, and you can gradually adjust the color temperature or the brightness. Now one thing I wish the company would do is to make the slider area bigger, because sometimes when I try to use the slider, I may actually have a page flip. And this is how color e-ink looks at maximum brightness for the front light. And it actually looks pretty good to me. And now let's take a look at the various e-ink settings you can adjust. And to adjust those settings, you need to open up e-ink center. So you can swipe down from the top right, open e-ink center here, or you can set e-ink center to the Android navigation bar, or you can have e-ink center set here as one of the shortcuts. So I'm going to use this. Under color mode, you can choose how colors and contrast will look. So by default, it's optimal, and there is vivid, and you can also create your own custom settings by choosing the dark value, vividness, and color brightness. So you can adjust the slider here and see the e-ink update in real time. So it looks like the dark value will increase the contrast. And this is the vividness. And this is color brightness. doesn't seem to be doing anything. So let's just go with the optimal setting. Optimal color mode is good because to me it actually shows more details and more information. If you take a look at this cloth here, you can see one side is lit by light and this side it's darker because it's away from the light. Now if we look at the e-ink, here you can see some ghosting. Let me just maybe remove the ghosting first. So here you can see this side of the cloth is also lit by light and this side is darker, and this is optimal. Now I'm going to switch over to using vivid, and this is vivid. So we no longer see the side that is lit by light, everything is just darker. So optimal color mode, I think it's really the way to go. And now let's take a look at the refresh modes. There is HD, balanced, fast, ultra fast, and regal. So all this will affect how fast the page will refresh, and that will in turn affect the visual quality you will get. So with HD you will get better visual quality, but the page will refresh quite slowly, and with ultra fast the page will refresh really quickly, but the visual quality is affected. Let's take a look at the HD refresh mode. So as I flip the page, notice how the page will flicker first before it redraws. The visual quality does look better, it seems better, but the page flipping flicker is too distracting for me. So let me just switch over to the next mode, which is the balanced refresh mode. So now as I tap to flip the page, notice the flicker is gone and the visual quality still looks pretty good. And there is also a hint of the page moving animation, but with HD mode that animation is just gone. So if I tap and hold to flip the page, notice this happens. You can actually see the page move. So this is the balanced refresh mode. Next, let's switch over to fast. So this is going to sacrifice visual quality. And as I tap, I can see the page actually moving. I can see more of the page moving compared to balanced mode. And when I tap and drag, the animation seems to be smoother and it looks pretty good, but there is definitely more ghosting. Yep, there is more ghosting. So here you can see image retention or ghosting, and here as well. So with the fast refresh mode, ghosting is definitely more noticeable, and there is an even faster refresh mode. So notice as I tap, you can sort of see the page move. So this is really fast, and this has even more ghosting compared to the fast mode. And let's switch over to regal. Here it says for regal mode, there is minimal ghosting, slightly flickering on dark backgrounds, suitable for light colored backgrounds. So as I flip the page, notice it also flickers. Yeah, this is too distracting for me. There are actually more settings you can play around. So if you tap here, more, these are the other options. I did not actually test all this because I don't understand what some of them actually means. So there is system refresh, drag to refresh. While scrolling a page, use HD or fast. There is this full refresh by how many taps. There is the animation filter time. I have no idea what this is. And under balance, we have less settings. There is display enhancement, anti-flicker. For me, I keep it simple. I go with optimal color mode and balanced refresh mode. This is a PDF of a sketchbook created by my friend Drew Skip. and it looks pretty good on this e-ink display. So this is balance mode, and you can see the page can flip quite fast with minimal flickering, and there isn't much ghosting, which is great. So overall reading experience for me with this tablet is quite positive. It's satisfactory. I do enjoy reading on this tablet. And now let's talk about the OS and features. So this tablet is running on Android 13. I'm not sure if it's going to get future Android updates, but let's just assume that there will be no Android updates. There is Google Play Store, so you can install whatever apps you like. And this is the home screen, which looks like a typical tablet home screen with the apps. And you can drag and drop the apps around. You can put the apps into a folder to organize them. The previous tablet from last year has a toolbar by the side, so the navigation is different. This time around, this is very familiar Android style tablet home screen that you are getting. This dock at the bottom can only store 6 apps, and this navigation bar can be enabled or disabled. I like this navigation bar because this display is big, so there is space for me to show the navigation bar on the screen all the time. This nav bar is quite useful. When you tap on the bar, 9 shortcuts will appear and they are customizable. So let me customize them. So just tap on whichever button you want to customize and choose from the pre-programmed shortcuts, and there are 3 pages of shortcuts to choose from. You can also add widgets. This is the notes widget. You can slide down from the top right to get the typical Android controls, and slide down from the top left to get the notification alerts. I don't really have much to say about the settings. By the way, this navigation bar can be moved anywhere on the screen. So let's just slide down. Yeah, all these are, pretty standard. Now this tablet does not have cellular support. I don't see much bloatware included. That's the default web browser. And there is a new reader app for opening documents if you don't have a file reader. And this Boox drop. This will allow you to send documents from your computer over to this tablet through Wi-Fi wirelessly, or you can just connect a cable to your computer to transfer files. And now let's take a look at the note-taking and handwriting performance. So let's create a new file here. Let's choose from the various templates that are available, and they are grouped under different categories. So this is general. Seems like there are 16 templates. Under work, there are 9. Study, there are 5. Other, there are 8. And there are custom templates that you can create yourself. So let's just go with a very simple 16 horizontal lines. Create. So up here is where you can choose your writing tools, and you can set 3 shortcuts. You can choose pen, brush pen, ballpoint pen, pencil, and marker. And these are the colors. And there are names for the colors as well, just in case you don't or can't see the colors properly. Now there are many tools with this writing app, and I am not going to go through all of them because there are just too many. So let's just go with the most basic writing tool, the brush, and let's go with a red color brush. This pen, the Boox Pen Plus, supports tilt, pressure sensitivity, and palm rejection. So pressure works with this note-taking app, and tilt also works here. And you can see the handwriting performance is actually quite responsive. Since there is no eraser on the pen, to erase you need the eraser tool. People who like to take notes will love this pen and tablet because you get this very nice tactile writing experience due to the matte textured surface and also the textured tip. Since this pen uses Wacom EMR, you don't actually need to buy this specific pen to use on this tablet. You can also use the Samsung S Pen or other pens that use Wacom EMR. The advantage of getting this pen is this will attach here by the side and you can keep it together with the tablet and the case. This note-taking app from Boox has many features, so you can choose from the many templates, create layers, adjust the margins, create shapes, use the fill tool. You can enable or disable finger gestures. There is this AI mode that can convert your handwritten notes into editable text. You can insert other pages. You can use the lasso tool. So let me just use the lasso and select this text here. And you can see there is this AI button, and this will convert the handwritten notes into editable text. The handwriting and note-taking experience on this tablet would be easily 5 out of 5 stars unless you need certain features that are not here. But the reason why I give it such high rating is because this pen has pressure. So when you are writing, you can get those thin and thick lines that make your text looks more natural, and this is able to capture my handwriting style quite accurately, and palm rejection works really well. It is possible to use other note-taking apps, but the performance may not be as good. So let's use Nable. I'm going to have this tablet by the side with LCD display for comparison purposes to help me see what are the differences with the user interface. So here I can see multiple pages and there is this light gray background, but here I cannot see the light gray background due to the limited number of grays that e-ink can produce. So let me create a new notebook. First thing I notice is I cannot see any lines on the paper at all, and I have already tweaked the various e-ink settings to create extra contrast, but I still cannot see those lines. And if you take a look at the color swatches on the LCD, these are very pale colors, and on the e-ink canvas I can barely see the colors at all. So let's select a brush. So there should be this box with drop shadow by the side, but I do not see that box with drop shadow. I can test here. There is a box, it's just that I cannot see the boundary for the box. Okay, I can't even write here for some reason. Oops. This is me writing with my non-master hand. Alright, so I don't think Nable is very usable due to various reasons. And the main reason is it's very difficult for me to see the user interface. It's difficult for me to see the colors, the buttons, and some of the options. Next, we'll take a look at Microsoft OneNote. So we have the writing tools at the top and we can see the colors properly. The colors look good enough, but these three colors are kind of similar. Let me just choose one of the red looking like colors. Maybe increase the brush size. There are some horizontal lines, but I can barely see them. By the way, earlier, while using Nable, I actually had the front light enabled. So let me just enable the front light here as well to see if there is any difference here. I can still barely see the horizontal line. So let me just reduce that. Let's go into view, change the template. So this is a grid template and I can barely see the grid line. So let me just switch back to the horizontal lines. Let's write. So this is able to write quite fast. This is quite responsive, but notice as I write, the lines are thin. So earlier I actually chose this thick red brush, but while I'm writing, the line is thin. So this will only update after a while. So the advantage of this particular feature is this will allow you to write fast. Oops, let me just undo that. So as I undo, you can see the lines will update. So while you're writing, the lines will be thin, and then the next action will update the lines. The downside is you will not know how thick your line is, and by the way, this actually reacts to pressure. So this is how thick that line really is. So now I have chosen a thinner brush. Let's update, and now this looks fine. So the company has actually created this feature that lets you write quick and fast, so that you can at least still use the pen with Microsoft OneNote. So if you want to write with Microsoft OneNote, you can. It's just that you will not be able to see the style of your brush instantly. The style will only update after the next action. Let's take a look at Concepts, which is one of my favorite sketching apps, and this can be used to take notes as well. Let's have a look at the color wheel. Due to the limitation with e-ink, some of the colors are going to look very similar because e-ink cannot produce as many colors compared to color LCD or OLED displays. So this app is Concepts. So notice as I write and draw, there is very noticeable latency. So the writing and drawing experience with this app is not good. It does not have the feature you saw with Microsoft OneNote where the line is thin and then it will update to reflect the style. Here it would just show you the style instantly, but there is a lot of latency. I think I've pretty much covered everything I wanted to say about the Boox Note Air 4C. Alright, to conclude, this is a well-made tablet and it's a beautiful tablet. It works great as an e-ink e-book reader and it's quite versatile thanks to Google Play Store. The visual quality you can get from the text and also from color images actually look pretty good. There is a good balance of latency, ghosting, visual quality, color vibrance and contrast. There are some downsides, and the main one is the OS is not able to retain those apps that you have opened in memory. So earlier I actually opened DB and that app is gone again, so now I have to open DB again and this will load the app again, and I have to open the book again and the book has to download again, and when I switch to other apps and I switch back to DB, chances are I have to go through that whole loading thing again. Writing performance is really good. Regarding battery life, I would consider it to be good. If you're just reading books and comics, the battery life can probably last for days, but if you have to use the internet, if you download stuff, if you have multiple web browser tabs open, then battery life may just last for one day. I cannot tell you the battery life accurately because it really comes down to how you use the tablet. So that's it. If you guys have other questions regarding this tablet, let me know in the comments section, and if you guys have intention to buy this tablet, you can check out the links that I have for you in the video description below. Thanks for watching. See you guys in the next video. Bye.